This passage is about Stoicism, Stoics' point of view, and a little bit on what they believed in. All right, we'll quickly summarize the passage. Stoics saw virtue as an ability that had been intentionally cultivated rather than a mere idea to be pondered. It's not just a theoretical idea that you think about, it has to be cultivated. You have to cultivate it, you have to make it a habit. Like one's capacity at warfare, athletics, or carpentry, being a good person was a skill developed through years of diligent study, practice, and training. So, Stoicism, virtue was similar. You should cultivate it through practice and use, just like you develop a skill of carpentry, athletics, warfare. These are all skills that you learn through practice and discipline. So, Stoicism saw virtue as an ability to be cultivated like that with practice. This means that according to the Stoics, all other skilled individuals become examples we can learn for. So, it's a skill. And so, anybody who is skilled is an example, and you can develop virtue that the Stoics believed it by looking at skilled people. The Greek Stoic Epictetus, for example, was particularly inspired by athletes. He considered athletes to be those skilled people who were inspiring. Epictetus, who ran his own school for Stoicism, realized that his students had a habit of theorizing about ethics rather than practicing it. So he was running a school on Stoicism, and he found his students good at theory and theorizing, but they were not practicing it. They had learned Stoicism, but they were still waiting. So I've learned it in theory, but I'm still waiting to change myself, put that theory into practice. So his students had learned the theory of Stoicism, but they were waiting to implement it. In response, Epictetus appealed to athletes. So what was his response to his students? He said, okay. And then this is the response he gave to his students. How much longer will you delay before you think yourself worthy of what's best and transgress in nothing the distinctions that reasons impose? So he says, how much longer? How long are you going to wait before you think you're capable or worthy of doing what is best? And how long are you going to wait? Sit and do nothing. You've acquired knowledge of the philosophical principles that you ought to accept and have accepted. You've accepted philosophical principles. What kind of teacher then are you still waiting for, that you should delay any effort to reform yourself until you appears? So who are you waiting for before you apply those principles that you have accepted to change yourself? Let everything that seems best to you be an inviolable law for you. And if you come up against anything that requires an effort, is pleasant, or is glorious or inglorious, remember that this is the time of the conquest. So whenever you come across anything which is great, not good, good, remember the time to act is now. That the Olympic Games have arrived. For an athlete, what is the moment of glory? What is the time to act? The highest platform for an athlete is Olympic Games. So he says, think of the present as Olympic Games. The Olympic Games have arrived. There is no possibility for further delay. The race is on. You have to participate in it. And that it depends on a single day, a single action, whether progress is to be lost or secured. So he says, this is the moment. What are you waiting for? To implement what you have learned. We have all been in these situations at some point in our lives, right? You know it, but you're still afraid to put it into practice. All of us have been in that. We have all felt we should do something differently, but we fail to act. Maybe it's standing up to a bully at work, giving our time to another person, apologizing when we know we are wrong, taking accountability for our physical health and habits. For whatever reason, we have a notion of what is right, but don't act upon it. So all of us have gone through that experience when you know what is right, but you still don't do it. Epictetus implored us to look to athletes. So when you are in that situation, think of athletes, look to athletes. When we do not act upon what we think is right, we are acting like an athlete who trains but never competes. What is the point? This moment that makes us uncomfortable, this action that we should take. This is our Olympic Games. This is our chance to compete. We need to act, we need to perform. And even if we fail or make mistakes, at least we tried. And now have the feedback about where we can improve further. At least we have put our skin in the game. Putting your skin in the game means investing effort and time on something. This kind of discussion naturally leads to the difficult question of what is the right thing to do. Okay, you know what's the right thing, you'll act, but how will you know what is the right thing to do? This is typically where theory comes in. For the Stoics, the right action was about acting in accordance with your nature, including your nature as a rational being, as a social animal with obligation to others. So what's the right thing to do? Something that goes with your nature. This meant recognizing virtue and character to be the highest good and not compromising those for any external reward or punishment. Remember, your nature should be such that you recognize virtue as the highest good. Virtue and character are the highest good. You should not in any way compromise on those for anything in the world. Keeping that, then you will know what is good and act according to it. All right. Let's look at the first question on this passage. On the basis of the passage, which one of the following statements can be regarded as true? We've read the passage, we've summarized it. If we have a doubt, we'll go back to it. Epictetus wanted his pupils to practice what they preached without any delay. So, what are you waiting for? Why don't you work? This moment is the Olympic Games. Come on, do it. Right? So, that is what he'll agree with. So, A is the correct answer. But let's look at B, C, and D. Epictetus believed that Stoics should look to athletes as an example to learn from in order to improve their own athletic practice. Epictetus looks to athletes as inspiration because they train for a particular moment and compete on at that moment. But that doesn't mean he wanted his students to become athletes. The Olympic Games is only an analogy given to us. That's not that literally he wanted his students to become athletes. So B is wrong. Epictetus told athletes that they may take action now to reform themselves as the Olympic Games had advised. No, he didn't talk to the athletes. He used the example of the athletes to teach his students a lesson, to tell his students to act rather than theorize. So C is irrelevant. He believed that his students were only capable of theorizing about athletes. No. He realized that they were only theorizing, but that is not his belief about their capability. He says, you've learned everything, now put it into practice. It's not like he didn't believe that they were capable of putting it into practice. He knew they were not putting it into practice. He wanted them to implement what they had learned, right? So D is also wrong. Therefore, the correct answer is A. Which of the following statements, if false, would contradict the facts and arguments in the passage? Now see, the statement, if it is false, has to go against what has been said in the passage. So you need to remember two things. What has been said about in the passage about this? This statement, if it is false, should go against it. Right? So you are looking at it from a slightly convoluted process. Let's see which is the easiest way to find it. The statement that is given, if it is given in the same line as what the author said, if it is false, correct? If that is proved to be false, it would go against what the author has said. So, carpentry is a skill that does not require diligent practice. Now, if it is false, what does it become? Carpentry requires diligent practice, which will be in line with what the author is saying. So this will not contradict. The motivation to put our theories into action can only come from within, not through external inspiration. The motivation comes only from within, not from external inspiration. If it is wrong, it doesn't come from within. It does not come, it also comes from other sources. Right? That would again not contradict what the author has said. Author has said motivation comes from all sources, but mainly you are the person who does it. Participation in a contest and not winning or losing is all that matters. Now, if this is false, what will it become? Participation is not important, winning and losing is important. No, if this that participation is important, participation is not important, winning and losing is important, become the opposite of what has been stated in the passage. What has been stated in the passage? Participate. That is the key. If you win or lose, it doesn't matter. If you lose, you'll find a way to improve, at least get in the skin of the game, right? Therefore, C is my correct answer. If this is false, it will contradict what has been said in the passage. Therefore, C is my correct answer. Clear? How much longer will you delay before you think yourself worthy of what is the best and transgress in nothing the distinctions that reason imposes? That means, what's the author? What is not an implication in the quoted statement? So, what is the implication in the quoted statement? Three of the answers will go with the implication that don't delay much, you are worth a lot, you are worthy of giving your best. Okay, use your reason to use reason and rationality in your actions. The speaker believes that the listener has knowledge of the philosophical principles that they should put into practice, because he says, how much will you delay before you think yourself worthy of what is best? So, worthy of what is the best means they are aware of the philosophical principles of what is the best. The speaker believes that the listener is not currently living up to their potential. Yes. How long will you wait before you really put your potential into practice and show us what you're capable of? So yes, he believes that the listener is just sitting and not working, and he believes that he has the potential to put theory into practice. So 2 also is not part of our answer. I shouldn't put a tick here. The speaker believes that the listener is capable of making rational decisions. Yes, he says, transgress in nothing the distinctions that reasons imposes. Do not break anything that rationality tells you not to break. Do not transgress rationality. Do not do illogical things. So yes, the speaker is believe that the listener is currently not worthy of the best. He would not ask the listener, go and give your best, if he didn't think he is not worthy of the best. So the speaker is not implying, the statement is not implying that the speaker is not worthy of the best. The speaker is not yet giving his best. That's what it says. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Which one of the following statements would be an accurate inference from the mention of Olympic Games? Why did the author mention the Olympic Games? Why did Epictetus mention the Olympic Games? That in all our lives, there is an Olympic Games moment, the moment to act. The Olympic Games have not been mentioned as a literal example of everyone should be participating in the athletic meet, in the greatest global athletic meet. No, the Olympic Games has been given as an analogy, as the moment when you have to act, otherwise you lose. That opportunity is gone. In something in that sense, it has mentioned. So let's see what the answer option says. The Olympic Games are a symbol of the importance of physical training and stoicism. Did he mention physical fitness? Look at the Olympic Games and build physical fitness so that you can compete in the Olympic Games. No, he says act as if this you have arrived at the Olympic Games of your life. This is the time to act, to compete for glory. So A is wrong. The Olympic Games are a metaphor. Correct. They are a metaphor. They are given as an analogy. They are just a figure of speech, as an expression that has been given for the importance of taking action in accordance with one's beliefs. You have got all the philosophical principles in you. You have learned about the value of virtue and character. Now go ahead and practice it. Become a better person. That's what he says. So that is exactly what is meant by B. The Olympic Games are a literal event that the Stoics participated in. No, it is not it has not been used in a literal sense at all. Olympic games have been used as an analogy, okay, true, but are not relevant to the practice of stoicism. They are relevant, so not relevant is not correct. How are they relevant to the practice of stoicism? Just like athletes give their best on the particular day, when you are ready with all your knowledge about what is correct, what is the right thing to do, go ahead and implement it as if you're taking part in the race and this is the moment to implement it, right? So it is relevant to the practice of stoicism, of acting at the right moment according to your belief rather than just believing in theory, right? So the correct answer here would be B.